Weather's getting cold outside. It's December football and a lot of good on good in week 13, previewing Thursday night football, which is Bills and Patriots. Tons of playoff implications coming this week. Maybe game of the week, 49ers, Dolphins. We got Chiefs, Bengals as well. So much to get to on our week 13 six-pack of picks coming up right now.
NFL analyst Brian Peacock and former NFL scout Matt Williamson bring you expert NFL analysis every day in less than 30 minutes. Get an inside look into the NFL on the field and in the front office. With elite breakdowns, next-level analysis, and in-depth information only for the real NFL fans. This is Peacock and Williamson, and it starts now.
Welcome to the Peacock and Williamson NFL Show. Brian Peacock alongside Matt Williamson, as always, at PD Peacock, at Williamson NFL. Thanks for making us your first listen here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is presented by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. Pick 2 to 5 players. If they score more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you can win up to 10 times your money on that entry. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. That's prizepicks.com, promo code Locked On. Matt, it is December now. It is cold weather football time. I got my winter coat on.
You got your coat on? Yeah,
it's stormy here in the Bay Area. I had to make the treacherous trek from my home to the backyard where our detached office is. A little chilly, and it's actually storming pretty good. I don't know if the microphone's picking it up, but it's coming down. It's raining. It's getting cold. We're going to start seeing a different brand of football than maybe we saw in September in some places, right? And actually, that kind of segues into what's going on.
Real quick, I have to stop you because, I mean, you folks in your neck of the woods aren't used to such things or playing difficult schedules or anything such as that. I mean, you guys have it's easy and soft out there. I mean, and I sent you this tweet earlier that, DVOA, big fan, Football Outsiders guy. Well, Niners have played the easiest schedule to date. Steelers have played the toughest. That's just how we roll over here,
Yeah, things are a little bit more difficult.
I have shorts on, no shoes. It's 30 degrees out. I'll be fine.
You got to go shovel the driveway before you go somewhere.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No big deal.
It has been pretty easy. It's been pretty easy going for the 49ers. I think it's a perfect segue to the game going on in the Bay Area. I don't think it's supposed to be too wet on Sunday. I think the storm's going to pass through, but the Miami Dolphins and the San Francisco 49ers. This is a good one because it's really offense against defense. It's this number 2 offense in the NFL right now in the Dolphins against the number 1 defense in the NFL with the 49ers. But as you mentioned, the schedules have not been that difficult for the 49ers this year. And then when you look at the teams that the Miami Dolphins have been running up the score on in the last 4 or 5 weeks, it's not a juggernaut string of defenses they're playing against either. So maybe we'll learn a lot about these teams, or maybe we'll just learn that it's good on good, maybe not great on great on Sunday. I'm not sure, but I feel like it's a pretty good barometer game between the Dolphins and the 49ers this week.
I think it's going to be a great game. And I have great respect for Miami's offense, their weapons, the way Tua is playing, especially the coaching staff. But you're right. I mean, their last 4 defenses were Houston, Cleveland, which doesn't stop the run at all, the Bears, which is in contention right now for worst defense in the league, and the Lions. If you get to hand pick 4 defenses, they would be pretty high draft picks for me. And that's going to be night and day against San Francisco. I mean, I think we have to start this conversation with the familiarity. Everybody moved east from your strong Niners team, and there's a lot of overlap. There's a lot of similar style of play. My one question for you, I think this Miami front, especially since Chubb showed up, is probably better than people think. I'm kind of infatuated with Jalen Phillips, and I like Wilkins. Where are you on the Niners O-line right now?
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about this on the latest Locked On 49ers, Locked On Dolphins crossover for this game, and Kyle Krabs brought that up because on paper, it's a pretty darn good unit that the Dolphins can put together up front. When you have Chubb now on one side, you have Jalen Phillips. They've moved Jalen Phillips inside in some rushing situations. Christian Wilkins, obviously, there's some good players there on that defensive front that allows you to do what you need to on the back end, which is exactly the 49ers defensive MO as well with Nick Bosa. And, we'll see if Teron Armstead plays. So I think really a lot of weeks, Matt, when you're breaking down a football game, those matchups up front are so important. But when you're playing against a team like the Dolphins that has Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, you better be able to win with 4 up front. And I think it goes both ways, really. Can the Dolphins stop the run on the 49ers, stop the catch and run stuff, and get pressure on Jimmy Garoppolo, who's much better when he's not under pressure than when he is under pressure, and even more so than most quarterbacks, even though most quarterbacks are better when they're not under pressure, right? And the 49ers offensive line has been surprisingly up to the task with how much turnover they have on the interior. In fact, second-year offensive lineman Aaron Banks and rookie fourth-rounder Spencer Burford at right guard, the 2 guards, they've been credited with 0 sacks this year, which has been very surprising. That was the worry coming into the year.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, the worst offensive lineman has been Mike McGlinchey at right tackle. He had a torn quad. It's a really tough injury to come back from. He's always been a better run blocker than pass blocker, and now he's kind of taken a step down in both of those this year. So it's actually the biggest worry is probably the veteran at right tackle more so than those young interior offensive linemen. But they haven't been amazing. They've just been good.
Not a problem, though.
The fact that they're not a problem is great for the 49ers, and it's both. It has definitely. They're not road graders. They're not crushing people necessarily, but they're getting in the way. They're blocking folks, and they're not getting beat. So I think there's some communication stuff, passing off blocks. We've seen that be a little bit of a problem, which you would expect with some young players. So, but overall, it's been a good unit for the 49ers, and obviously you have Trent Williams at left tackle, which is really nice to have.
Yeah, I still think he might be the best offensive lineman in the league, which, when you need a yard, right behind Trent or whatever.
Right.
I think it's a really competitive game. I don't know who the better team is. I respect the home field advantage, but I want 4 points. I just think it's going to be close. I think the Dolphins have a chance to win. So if you're going to give me 4, I'm in.
I'm surprised. It should be a 3-point line, right? It should be, I don't know what to expect. 2 pretty good teams, neutral field, coin flip. You get 3 points if you're the home team. So that 1 extra point makes me want to kind of go to the Dolphins side of this from a betting perspective. But again, I've got this code on December football. The Dolphins come out in South Florida, right? Throwing the heck out of the ball to start the year. Are they going to be that January team? And the 49ers are more
great question about them.
December football, although it's not going to be, it's going to be whatever, 54 degrees at the coldest, probably, and some sunshine, some clouds, as long as the storm does blow through. Maybe the grass will be a little wet from the storm, but probably not. And so they're not playing in the snow or anything, but the 49ers try to bully people. And are the Dolphins that team? And are they going to be able to put up points on that 49ers defense? Who, by the way, the 49ers defense, despite the 6 straight quarters of shutout ball they've been pitching and 4 straight second halves of shutouts, they've been playing the banged up Chargers, banged up Rams, the Cardinals, who are a disaster, and the New Orleans Saints. So not exactly juggernaut offenses they've been playing too, just like how the Dolphins haven't been playing juggernaut defenses. So we'll see. I think we'll learn a lot about both of these teams. It should be a really good one. And of course, the familiarity of both sides and Mike McDaniel, the former right-hand man of Kyle Shanahan. A lot of good storylines. It should be a popcorn game, I think, Sunday.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And you mentioned the weather, and I joke, that your version of bad weather is a lot different than mine, and or the AFC East opponents that Miami faces, at Buffalo in a couple of weeks, at New England in week 17. So I do think that's something to really just keep an eye on with this team. Are they a bad weather team? Because they're going to have to be with their division, and maybe they have to go to Kansas City for this, or Cincinnati, or wherever for in the playoffs.
Right, and the Dolphins have been home for like a month too, so pretty cozy there, and it gets really uncozy in the Northeast coming up soon. So are they ready for that January football for the Dolphins? Big storyline for them to finish this season for sure. All right, next we got a ton of good games to get to. We will talk Jets, and come on, Mike White Jets. They're a very intriguing team right now. They are at the 9-2 Vikings, Commanders, Giants, Titans, Eagles, tons of teams with a lot of wins, and of course, Chiefs, Bengals, and Thursday night football previews and picks coming up. Today's episode of Peacock and Williamson brought to you by Audible. Audible is releasing a slate of new football podcasts that we're sure you're going to love. Find Block Forever now, wherever you get your podcast. Block Forever, brand new podcast from former NFL All-Pro offensive lineman Ryan Khalil and Audible together. Khalil takes you on the conversation about football, but it takes you to the next level of the conversation, not just about what's going on the field, but behind the scenes as well, inside locker rooms, during team meetings, back at the hotel. You'll hear Christian McCaffrey, Juju Smith-Schuster, tons of star players, current and former, coaches across pro leagues, get real about what happens. Game through the eyes of the greatest players and personalities of all time. Ryan and his guests discuss topics like player psyches, sports betting, playing through pain, being a leader, how to deal with combative teammates. Nothing is out of bounds on Block Forever. Catch the full Block Forever series available everywhere you get your podcasts. Available now. Audible. Get in the game. Thanks again, everybody, for making Peacock and Williamson your first listen today. For your second listen today, check out Locked On Sports Today, which actually today's version of Locked On Sports features a clip from Peacock and Williamson talking about the games that matter the most, the biggest stories in sports. Go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. How about those Jets? If the Jets get the level of quarterback play that Mike White gave them last week, and I don't know if he's going to necessarily keep this up. We'll see, you know, when teams have a chance to scout you and find out what your weaknesses are. But there's enough talent on that Jets team. They're 7-4 right now. Feel like they got a little extra giddy up right in their step after that game last week. They're taking on the Vikings, and the Vikings are favored by 3 at home, and they probably should be. But man, I like the way things are going for the Jets more so than the Vikings, and the Vikings just might be proving to be that paper tiger. And how about the Sauce Gardner Justin Jefferson matchup this week, Matt?
Yeah, and Gardner doesn't travel, but that doesn't mean they're not going to see each other a lot. You know, I mean, of course they will. I have great respect for the way Mike White played last week, and we saw a game or two like that last year. So it's not 100% isolated information. I have no respect for the defense he played against the Bears. I don't have a ton of respect for the Vikings D, though, either. And if they can just get competent play, I think the Jets defense is the best unit of the group. I'm a little worried about a young, inexperienced quarterback offense as a whole in that environment. I mean, that is a brutal noise, crowd situation in Minnesota. But I think the Jets, kind of like the Dolphins, have a coin flip chance to win. So if you're going to give me points, I want it.
I kind of want to take the points here too. I just really like the vibe of where the Jets are right now.
Me too.
And maybe Mike White turns into a pumpkin. Happened to him last year. Had a nice little run for a second, and then his overall numbers don't look great. Had some bad games as well. We'll see if that keeps up against a team like the Vikings for the Jets. They got to play against a team last week they played the Bears, right? Last week.
Jets did, yeah, tore them.
Yeah, and the Bears have like 0 starters left on the defensive side.
Right,
like things aren't good. So let's see how you do against a team that's 9-2 right now in the NFC in the Minnesota Vikings. But the vibe, I like it. We'll see if Mike White can keep it going and give me those points.
Last note is, I know running back is not a high impact position, but I really wish the Jets would have a healthy Breece Hall right now. Yeah. I mean, that would be a lot different on the quarterback situation. But Garrett Wilson's becoming a star overnight. They're a good team.
Yeah, well, next year with Aaron Rodgers and Breece Hall, the Jets offense will look pretty good.
Gangrene coming at you, yeah.
More on Aaron Rodgers tomorrow. We'll talk about that, whether he's going to play in that matchup with the Bears for the Packers in Week 13. How about the 7-5 Commanders and the 7-4 Giants? They are the 6 and 7 seed currently in the NFC. They are the 2nd and 3rd place team. No, they're the 3rd and 4th place teams. All of the teams right now would be in the playoffs from the NFC East if things ended like they are now, but they are not going to end like they are now because these teams are playing again in a couple of weeks too, right? So Commanders, Giants, this is important.
Yeah, the way that goes is Washington's at the Giants now. Then the Washington gets a bye. That's the last week of byes. And then they host the Giants. And in the meantime, the Giants have to play the Eagles in between. So I think this next 3 weeks obviously sets up much better for Washington than it does the Giants. I also think this could be the fall from grace officially from the Giants. I think these teams are trending in totally opposite directions. Not that I'm on board with Washington as a big time contender, but their defense to me is far and away the best of the 4 units. I don't know that Barkley will run with much success in this game. I like how Heineke's playing. I like Washington in this one by a touchdown or so.
I'm taking points again, going home dog. It's worked for me so often this year. And I think these two teams are close. I agree with everything you just said, by the way. Mm-hmm. And if this was neutral site, give me the Washington Commanders. They're favored though by 2.5 points here. I just feel good about home team Giants, that there's not that big of a gap between the two. And they might get Barkley to break one. I like the way the defense is still playing for the New York Giants as well. I think this could be low scoring, and the Giants could potentially pull this one out by a short margin. So I'm going to take the points and take the Giants here at home. But this should be a really good game.
Yeah, I mean, home dogs are hitting at a pretty high level from what I understand, too.
Yeah, it's been crazy this year.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I've been riding the heck out of it. And when I don't take the home dogs, I kind of regret it, come Sunday morning. How about the 7-4 Tennessee Titans, Matt? They are facing the 10-1 Philadelphia Eagles at Philadelphia. Philly favored by 5.5 points here. So not a huge line, but to me, this game is like, okay, Eagles have struggled stopping the run. Tennessee Titans run the ball more than anybody in the league, and Derrick Henry is your running back. And I know the Eagles want to run the ball too, but I have a hard time feeling like this is going to be a big blowout win by the Eagles. Am I wrong with that feeling?
Yeah, I don't have a good feel for this one. The other games we picked, I feel more confident about than this one, because I could see Vrabel just mucking this thing up and Henry just pounding away. And we do know the Eagles' run defense is suspect, and they're not big on bringing extra guys in the box. I'm sure they will on this one.
Yeah,
I'm coming around a little. I mean, from a D- to a C- on the Titans passing game. I think Burks is a good player. Woods looks a little better. Their tight ends are okay. Tannehill's a professional starting quarterback. In Philly, though, I think I'm going to lay the 5. That's what I'm looking at here. But I don't like this game.
Yeah, the Eagles should be favored. I was hoping the line was going to be bigger because of the way I think this game could go. It could just be close, and Philly by a field goal is probably how I would put this one, 3 or 4 points. So I'm going to reluctantly give up the points here and believe in what Mike Vrabel is doing over there. The Derrick Henry and the Titans can run the ball enough and kind of just keep this game kind of close and ugly. But straight up, you got to pick the Eagles.
Yeah, yeah. And again, I think that number is a stay away number, 5.
Jalen Hurts, just for a second, I just want to talk about what Jalen Hurts has done this year and the continued development of Jalen Hurts. And he's thoroughly in the MVP conversation, if not the MVP right now. I mean, that's crazy for a guy who was like, oh, yeah, Jalen Hurts, I guess we'll give him a shot. And then it's like, oh, well, let's get a bunch of first-round picks next year just in case Jalen Hurts isn't the guy. And then it's like, oh, wait, Jalen Hurts MVP. Like, it's pretty amazing what he's doing right now. And he is a straight-up leader. They believe in him. He's throwing the ball. He's running the ball. It's pretty awesome. So I just wanted to shout out Jalen Hurts for his development and what he's doing right now and completely running the show right now for the Eagles.
Yeah, and while we are, I'm going to throw Tua in there as well. I mean, because both these teams took the same approach of we're going to get, we went future first, and they'll never admit it, but it was because we're not sure if our quarterback's in the building or not. And now they are in the building. They don't have to use the future first on those players. And, the Dolphins then trade for Chubb. The Eagles might end up with Jalen Carter or something insane like that. So worked out really, really well for both. I've been often criticized, you don't give Hurts and Tua enough credit. Well, I'm very impressed with their progress. I don't think either one's a top 5 quarterback, but they've made tremendous strides, and I think you can win the Super Bowl with either.
Absolutely. Credit earned and deserved for both Jalen Hurts and Tua Tagovailoa and what they're doing right now this year. All right. Next, another really good game here with the Chiefs at the Bengals in Week 13 and Thursday Night Football, Bills and Patriots. BetOnline is your number one source for sports betting information, stats, news, and analysis this season and all season long and every season, no matter the sport. And you want to be informed when you go make your bets as well. And you can do both at BetOnline. It's not all about wagering at BetOnline, but you can find the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there. Football to basketball to soccer, even esports. You've got it all at BetOnline. And in between games, you can even play some Vegas-style casino games as well. A little blackjack, a little poker if you want at BetOnline. And if you love sports podcasts, you can find those at BetOnline as well. Always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. Head over to the BetOnline website today or use your mobile device to learn more at BetOnline, where the game starts. Here we go. Chiefs and Bengals here. A couple of hot teams right now. The 9-2 Chiefs at the 7-4 Bengals. Chiefs favored by just 2 little points on the road.
Yeah. The Bengals beat them in the postseason last year, dropped 8 a lot. I mean, they're Remember that second half of the Chiefs? It was a disaster. And the Bengals defensive coordinator is known as one of the best halftime adjustment guys out there. Amarillo. I always pronounce his name so badly. My apologies, but he's doing a tremendous job. Coach Lou will call him. In Cincy, I think that Chiefs D is a little suspect and is clearly the worst of the 4 units, but I will say their offense is the best. I think Mahomes is the best football player on the planet and is having his best year, which is a mouthful. And I'm not trying to cause waves, but I think Burrow's the second best quarterback on the planet right now, right this minute.
When you said that about Mahomes, I was about to say, 1, I completely agree with you. And 2, maybe that gap is a little bigger between he and Josh Allen, because it was like, oh, is Allen going to surpass Mahomes kind of thing? You see what Allen's doing, which is still great, and he's awesome quarterback. But Mahomes, without Tyreek Hill, what he's still doing there, like the Mahomes and Reed thing, is just scary. And in fact, the gap between Mahomes and Josh Allen, Matt, you're saying might be big enough to fit another quarterback in there by the name of Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I think Burrow's having a better year. He's playing better football right now than Josh Allen. If I'm building a team, I would take Allen, but Burrow is just cut down mistakes, including sacks. He improves so rapidly in such a short amount of time. Didn't have Chase. Chase is going to be there for this one. I think Mixon's going to be there for this one. I'm going to take the points, and I probably will take the Bengals money line.
I'm kind of annoyed.
Yeah,
I'm going to have to be up extra late Sunday because the 49ers and this Chiefs Bengals game are playing at the same time, and I've got to be locked into every single snap of the 49ers game. It starts at 1:05 Pacific time for me. The Chiefs and Bengals start at 1:25, so I might be able to catch the end of the fourth quarter of the Chiefs Bengals game, but I'm gonna have to go back and watch that whole game because it's not one that you want to miss there either. So Chiefs Bengals, can't wait for that one. I'm going to take the Chiefs though and give up those 2 points because I just think they're playing so good. They're the best team in the NFL, and I'm going to keep riding.
I hear you. I'm betting on the DC for the Bengals, little home field advantage here. I don't feel great about the bet, but I'm going to take the dog.
A team that's as good as the Bengals and as good as they are playing right now, getting points at home, I mean, that's not a bad bet. It's a very good bet in most cases, except for when the Chiefs come to town.
Yeah, that's the thing. Or the Chiefs just different. I think Mahomes is just different, but if the Chiefs just different, they could be.
They're kind of
but I think both these teams can win the Super Bowl too, just like your Niner game.
Oh, absolutely. And the Buffalo Bills at 8-3, stumbling a little bit here. They are at the New England Patriots at 6-5. This is a good one because it is a divisional battle. I feel like the Bills have had a ton of short week games. Am I wrong on that? Have they played a lot on Thursdays?
Both these teams actually played Thanksgiving, so I made that mistake as well.
Oh, gotcha.
So they have a full week.
Full week. Okay, full week. Week. That's not terrible then for the road Bills, and maybe they're a little travel weary, little under rested at this portion of the season, getting into December, right? But whatever the weather might be, I don't think there's any big storms or anything coming through Foxborough.
I don't think tonight, yeah.
But the Bills and the Patriots, the Buffalo Bills favored by 4 points at New England. It's a tough one for me. I think I would have to lean toward the Bills though.
I'm torn on this one too. I'm excited to sit back and watch it. Obvious familiarity. Rest isn't a problem. I commend the schedule makers for taking advantage of that Thanksgiving slate and not having a short week. Everyone knows how that makes me crazy. I'm going to take the Bills. I'm worried about Allen turning the football over, though. I mean, this Patriot defense is hard to play against. Mac Jones is coming off his best day this year, if not in a Patriot uniform. Has he turned a corner? Ooh, I don't.
Those division games too tend to, they narrow the field a little bit.
Big
Bill
time.
Belichick gets to see a team multiple times a year at home. There is a lot of reasons why I think maybe if you look at the Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots, you might think, hey, maybe even more points for the Buffalo Bills. But there's a reason the Bill Belichick has all that hardware. And they played last week, right, against the Vikings. It's hard not like the home dog here in the Patriots to cover 4 points, but I'm still going Buffalo Bills. I just think they're the better team. And the thing about turnovers with quarterbacks is they kind of come in bunches. So is he going to turn over the ball or not? Because if he doesn't, the Bills could roll the Patriots still.
Yes. And all those things, I mean, that's why I was leaning Patriots too. Home dog, familiarity, Belichick, Mac Jones, defense. But I can't get over the fact that these teams played 3 times last year, and one of them was that insane wind game. So if we take that out of the equation, the Bills scored a ton of points against against the Patriots in those two games. And I think Allen's still very capable of that.
How big of a factor is no Von Miller for the Buffalo Bills?
I mean, from a closer role, because I mean, I know they have some production on the ground, but they're not exactly handing it to Earl Campbell or Jerome Bettis to close out games when the Bills have a lead, So I think and where I'm going with this is pass rush and running game puts teams away, especially come playoff time, big physical run game and pass rush. And the Bills still have guys. I mean, their defensive front is sick, but Miller's a little different, and I do think it's a big deal.
So we're both in agreement on that one, right? Buffalo Bills, we'll give up those 4 points?
Yeah, my money's not going on that one, though. My fandom will just, or my viewing pleasure this evening, just sit back and enjoy it, because it could be a really good game.
By the way, remember how big of a lead Tyreek Hill had with the receiving numbers this season? And he still got crazy numbers right now. 87 catches, 1,200 yards. Stephon Diggs is slowly catching him. Stephon Diggs up to 84 catches after 12 weeks. 84 catches and 1,100 receiving yards.
I feel like he's almost a little underrated. Like everyone talks about Tyreek Hill, like in the dynasty world. Chase and Jefferson, because of their age, are by far the most two coveted receivers. Diggs doesn't make as many highlight type catches as a couple of the other stars, but every bit of a top 5 receiver and probably a Hall of Famer when it's all said and done.
Yeah, he gets put in like a tier that's not the top tier.
Yeah.
And it almost feels like it's unfair because
he's tremendous.
Josh Allen believes he's top tier, right? Like how important has Stephon Diggs been for Josh Allen, his career? Not only just the Buffalo Bills winning games, but
massive.
How different was that when Stephon Diggs showed up for Josh Allen?
Exactly. I mean, I love what the Bills did, and I reference this a lot, is very early in Allen's career, they used a ton of draft picks on defense, and they used all their free agent money on offense. And that also goes for Diggs. I mean, they added veterans around their young quarterback. Like I always bring things back to the Steelers. Like the Steelers are the opposite right now on offense. Like their offense is super young. I think it's just a good formula that if you're going to invest in a first-round quarterback, you want to have a lot of veterans that have been around the block. They went out that one off season and signed like 7 offensive linemen just to see what sticks. And then they trade for Diggs. And since then, they've drafted some guys, Gabe Davis and Cook and those guys. Yeah. But in the early Allen years, it was veterans and the young, talented quarterback. And I think that's invaluable to his growth.
And to tie this all together, Tua, Hurts, taking big leaps.
Yeah.
A.J. Brown, Tyreek Hill.
Right.
I don't think
team sport, folks.
Coincidence.
Exactly. 100%. And there's more instances to cite than ever with that.
Last little note here on this Thursday night.
What if Justin Fields trades for Stephon Diggs next year? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Oh, exactly. That's what they should be.
And Chase Claypool's not that guy.
Yeah, that's why I don't like. Right. That's a high second-round pick right now. That's the second
33rd pick overall. Maybe. Trust me, we talk about it every day around here. Yeah,
that's a little much with what they probably needed to do for a true number one that they didn't get.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and so they still got to try to find that guy if they can. Last note, really quick here: Patriots Bills. I got my coat on. December football. That's what we're Patriots.
We're getting December football. Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, I think Ramondre Stevenson will have a big game. I'm sure the Patriots will be physical and understand this weather and condition and all that stuff better than anybody, but Bills are just a lot more talented.
Thanks, everybody, for making Peacock and Williamson your first listen every day. Make sure you check out Locked On Sports today. Make sure you check out everything the Locked On Podcast Network has to offer. Your team is covered right here. Matt and I back tomorrow to make our picks for the rest of Week 13. Peacock and Williamson.